What is up, everybody? It's Jack, and I'm coming at you guys with part 2 of Madden New England Patriots offensive ebook out of the Y off trips Pats. Today we're going to bring you guys the base play, which is Pats Y out. Now, I don't care what audible you go to, I don't care what formation you audible to, it doesn't matter. I'm calling Pats Y out of the huddle every time. It's my base play, and you'll see why it's the base play, and I actually don't run it nearly as often as you think. And that's kind of what makes this offense work, is that it's a base play that kind of branches off to everything else. Now, it's not hash mark dependent. Most of the plays in this offense aren't hash mark dependent at all. However, there are a couple different things you can do depending on the hash mark you're on, and so I kind of will break that down as we progress into this play specifically. But for this example, we are going to go nickel normal. I would say under smoke, but I really don't feel like getting blitzed right now. So we're going to go nickel normal cover 3 sky just to kind of show you guys how I would run this offense in general. We are going to base align though, because base aligning is good. To prove a point, we're going to pinch. We're going to pinch for defense. So here's kind of the setup of a blitz, but we're not blitzing. We're in cloud flats and cover 3. But that's kind of the setup in general. Now, we're not really going to snap the ball that often. I just kind of wanted to set that up just in the event I do want to show you guys a route or two. Base play in general, we have 2 posts, a skinny post, a much sharper post off the X, Y on a little up and out, and A on the deep out, and RB on the wheel. Now, in any given play, I might audible 4 hot routes. I might keep one route. I might not keep any routes. It really depends. That's kind of what makes the base play work, is that it's really fluid, and I can do a lot of different things with it, and it allows for me to run my offense the way I want and to kind of branch off to other plays. Now, there will be games where I'll run this play a lot. There'll be games where I'll run this play once or twice. There will be games where I call this play out of the huddle and audible every time. It just depends on the opponent and how they're playing. Now, I'm going to kind of break down what I do with each route and just kind of what I do with each receiver, and then we'll kind of go from there. Against cover 2, cover 3, cover 4, it doesn't really matter because it's progression based. Y and A, so the tight end and the running back, they are really primary reads on this play. Y, you're going to want to wheel him most of the time or block. If you do have route specialist in Mutt, you could put him on a table route, but keep in mind table routes are better off ran to the short side of the field. We're currently running him out to the wide side, but you can still put him on a table route to the wide side. It's a really quick breaking route regardless, so it works either way, but it is slightly better to the short side of the field. That's just typically how people run it. And then with X, because of the wheel, you would want to put X on a flat route or keep him on the post, but keep in mind that the flat route does draw defenders out towards the sideline, which allows the wheel to get up in the alley, which is why you want him on the short going to the wide side, because of the spacing that the wide side of the field gives that route combination. Now, the tight end is a slightly different animal, so to speak. Typically, as a base play, I would put him on a flat route, but there are a lot of times that I'll block the tight end if I really just am trying to hit the flat and trying to run the running back wheel combo, because what ends up happening is I can still get 6 blockers with the tight end, and that's really nice. But if I'm running everybody out on routes, the tight end goes out on a flat most of the time. If I'm trying to draw defenders deep down the field, I'll put him on a streak or a fade. But it really depends on what my opponent's doing, what kind of offense, what kind of defense they're running, what kind of route combinations I'm running underneath it. Excuse me. I had chicken wings. But anyway, so that's the tight end, that's the running back. B, Hogan. Typically, you're going to want to smart route it to a shorter, skinny post. Smart routing it, it really does a good job of breaking quarters match coverages to get deep down the field. Now, Hogan's not going to be able to do that, so I'm not going to try to show you guys an example of that. He's not fast enough. But a better receiver can obviously get past the coverage, and it'll work really well. So when you smart route it, that's always nice. Another option that you can do is obviously you can drag Hogan if you really want to just drag him. You can put him on a slant. That's another option too. I'll do that. So you have the slant going underneath the post from the X receiver, and that's just kind of where that is. Now we come to the X receiver. Now the X receiver is on a Patriots Pat Sale post route, which is nice. Now, in order to get the Pat Sale route open, you'd want him to be on the short side to the wide side of the field. Now he's on the wide side to the short side. Now that does kind of make it a little bit of a harder throw, but you can still hit the route if it gets open. Dorsett might not have the best catch in traffic and stuff like that, so it might not work in practice mode. Actually, a lot of things might not work in practice mode just because the block sheds and the way defense is in practice mode is just on roids. But that's just sort of where that route is. It's a really good post route. But the only other thing I would really do with Dorsett is put him on a flat route if I'm not putting him on, if I'm not keeping him on the post route. And that brings us to our slot receiver, Julian Edelman. Now, again, we're going to motion him across, again, most of the time. Now, when we motion him across, most of the time he's going to end up just on a drag or an in route. Now, the reason why he ends up just on a simple drag or an in route is because he's going to end up being that quick read over the middle of the field. He's going to be that guy that forces their user defender to pick a high-low. He's going to be that guy that draws the attention of the linebacker user, which will end up opening up the post routes down the field, and it'll also help open up the flat routes to the sidelines. It's what allows us to stretch the field horizontally, sideline to sideline, and vertically down the field, because he's going to keep the user defender up here in the middle, which allows the flats to get open. It allows the post to get open. Now, if the user defender decides to jump a flat route and we miss the read, it could be a pick. But if we see the user defender jump the flat, the RB on the drag can get wide open, which is kind of what we want to happen. Now, typically, we'll run a play look something like this. The wheel route, drag, flat, post. Now, we'll run this real quick just so you can kind of see. The wheel, there's the wheel getting open, 10-yard gain. Now, if we were to run the wheel with the flat, on the other hand, let me just set up the defense real quick. Defense is set up just again like that, cover 3, baseline. Wait, did I baseline before? Yeah, I baseline before, okay. But now, typically what you want to do is you want to run the wheel with the flat combo and then the drag underneath. And then you want the skinny post, and then maybe you want Gronkowski on a flat, or maybe this time you know what, I want Gronkowski on the fade, because if they're blitzing both linebackers in the middle, or one of the linebackers blitzes and the user goes over there, Gronkowski's wide open up the seam. Now you do that, and you end up seeing the wheel is open on that again because the zone gets sucked to the flat. Now, Harrison Smith made a great play, but that's just sort of what happens in practice mode. Keep in mind, in MUT, or in regular head-to-head, your running back might be better than James White. Your running back might be James White. I don't know. But usually you can get a good spin animation. Someone's going to go for a hit stick on that. Also, most of the time the user's over the middle, so you don't really have to worry about that all that much. One last thing, though, in terms of base plays, I will slant Hogan to have this kind of underneath to Dorsett, and then I'll do that. And then we can motion Edelman across like that. And then in a setup like this, I would typically block the halfback, because blocking the halfback will allow for more time in the pocket, hopefully. And then we can get one of the posts open down the field, or one of the slants open down the field. I just really threw that. Wow, Hogan almost caught that. Now, that was the slant. Now, if they're in hard flats, the slant is obviously going to get more open than the cloud flat. But I really just want to kind of go into replay so you can kind of see what's happening here. He's open in a brief window, but I pass led too far. I waited. Obviously, the drag is going to get wide open most of the time. That's why I really didn't throw the drag. Now, there is a window for the deep post getting open here, but I had already thrown the ball, so he stopped. But there is a window. It's just a matter of, do you want to throw that post or not? Now, when we flip the play, which this is where the flipping of the play comes in, we are running the halfback to the short side of the field. So now this is where the table routes are really good. However, you can still run a wheel route, or you could put them on kind of an out route, just a simple out route. That's always an option too. But because we are running from the short side to the wide side of the field now, your post from X is going to be open a lot more. Now, keep in mind, when you flip the play, X and B and RB and A and Y, all the receiver icons, don't change. So B is still going to be B regardless of what side of the field. X is still X and all that stuff. So really what you have to remember is what position of the field is what icon. So you have your X, that's your split end. Like, he's going to be your split end no matter what. You have your B, that's your flanker. He's your flanker no matter what. RB is your slot, A is your tight end, Y is your running back. And it doesn't matter what happens, that's just going to be how it is. Now, you can still motion him across. You can drag him. Now, I wanted to slant B because I feel like that's kind of a better thing to do. And we're just going to quickly do the defensive setup because I just want to show you guys how that post from X gets open against most coverages as long as the block shed is there. There we go. There's X, door set, boom. That's how you hit your big play. That's kind of the money. That's really where you want to hit them. You want to go from the short side to the wide side because the post just gets open better. Like, that's just how it is. And when you see that little spacing, he runs by the linebacker. I'm throwing that ball into the open space. Nice catch. Get down. And in MUT, you're going to have a better receiver running that. And if you have a better receiver running that, you could spin, you could juke, you do something like that. You get some crazy catches, one-play touchdowns. But that's really the base play. Again, the base play, I might not run the base play that much. I might run the base play a whole lot. It really depends on how I'm feeling. It really depends on how you're reacting to my offense. But that's kind of the beauty of the base play. It has two posts, and you kind of mix and match routes, all that good stuff. And that's what makes the offense really fluid and really hard to stop. But again, then you kind of mix it in with curl flats, and there's your table route and a flat route by default, and a nice post route and two curls. And I'll show you guys the hot routes for that, obviously, too. Y option wheel, it's a little different, but again, there's a deep post from that, and then you have a bunch of routes underneath it. And then that's kind of there. And then you obviously go to scat, which has a corner route and then a bunch of underneath stuff, and you could make a bunch of hot routes again because, let's be real, you're going to hot route a whole lot with this offense. I just got to be real with you on that one. But again, there's always a route within the play that you kind of want to use and kind of manipulate the user because of it, and that's kind of where we're at with that. So that's part one. Hopefully I covered everything. Again, most of your progressions go from short to deep, from stretching the field horizontally and vertically. You really do want to hit your underneath stuff until you kind of hit the deeper stuff. Deeper stuff does get open, but you have to know what hash you're on and kind of what deeper routes will be open depending on what they're doing. Cover 3, cover 4 doesn't really matter. It's really more about just knowing when you're supposed to throw those routes versus when you're not. That'll be doing it for me. I think that covers everything. I know this was a little bit long. Hopefully it kind of is a little bit shorter, but I have a whole bunch of setups for everything, and it's just every route, every receiver does something different and does a bunch of different things, and it's just a whole lot to kind of do at once. But make sure you guys drop subscriptions on all those socials down there, because I'm sure you guys will have some questions, and I am more than willing to answer them. I am more than willing to take some time and try to help you guys out and kind of decipher all of this, because I know it's going to be a whole lot. But I think we're going to be streaming a lot, so when I'm streaming, I'll be running this offense, so you can kind of come in, kind of see what I'm doing, and kind of go off of that and kind of what I'm doing, and you kind of adapt to it from there. But that'll do it, guys. Until next time, I'm out.